Hello, and welcome to today's webinar titled Improve Attack Surface Visibility While Reducing False Positives. Before we get started, there are a few housekeeping items to keep in mind. First of all, today's webinar will be recorded and will be made available on demand shortly after today's broadcast. Secondly, anyone from the audience may ask questions during today's live broadcast by clicking the questions button on the right-hand side of the BrightTalk web application. We will save about 10 minutes at the end to answer any questions. Finally, we'll send over the slides from today's webinar in case you may be interested in revisiting those on your own time as well. Now let's get started. My name is Ryan Powell. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing at CyCognito, and I'm pleased to be joined today by Meir Asiskovich, who's our VP of Product. And yeah, take it away, Meir. We're looking forward to your discussion.
Thank you. Thanks, Ryan. Hey, everyone. This is a great opportunity, and I'm very happy to be here. And I appreciate your time and selecting to be with us today. So my name is Meir Asiskovich, and I'm the VP Product for CyCognito. I've joined CyCognito 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. Prior to CyCognito, I've worked for various security software vendors as IBM Security and later one of the leading SOAR platforms as a product manager or leading the product team. And over the last probably 8+ years, I've learned a lot about the security teams and the operations. I know how defenders need to address so many threats and evolving cyber events, while they are so limited with resources, time, budgets. So many times I was facing customers who were involved on a breach, asking me for any piece of information, any kind of help, any piece of data or information that can show them where they are exposed or probably breached. What is the path for the resistant and exposed asset? What can be done probably immediately to save something? And in many cases, it's also about their own reputation. I also know, as a vendor and as someone who was dealing with that a lot by myself, that it's so hard to face a pen test result, for example, where your management and your customers are asking for update and explanation, what is going on, why we see so many red lines. And all I could do is probably to beg my pen testers, please, can you do me a favor and rescan my environment again in few weeks. This is frustration, probably not only for me and many of you. So generally, what I was the main lesson I learned were that the teams, the security teams, are very small, super busy, and overloaded with so much tedious work. And by the end of the day, they don't do the actual fixing, the actual remediation. And any mistake with the assignment or assigning the wrong assignee from the IT team or the ops team may end up with escalations and trust issues. We all been there, right? And then it's very hard to build those relationships again, and when nobody wants to fall there. And good security teams, good security operations are looking to implement more and more automation. But the better teams, they measure their efficiency with KPIs, and the automation is part of that. And this is a tool to get there. And we see it happening more and more with more and more of our customers and our partners all the time. So still, we see some gaps in today's approach. I'll start from the left side, where we see too many hidden risks, because many of the teams are still dealing with the exposed assets. They are doing a manual work, end up with so many or too many hidden risks. They investigate bad URLs or IPs. When they get, a pen test result or a security score report, and then they're trying to figure out what's going on. Some of them will look on some IP ranges using some third parties like Shodan and other tools. Some of them will also create or build some script around it to make it easier or to make it faster. But this will probably find just open ports and services on known assets. But too many risks and threats are still remaining open because you are not aware for those assets that are hidden, or you never met them. So next one is around prioritization. So once we have a list of issues and list of handle, and we are limited with the team and budget, how can we prioritize better? Attackers don't use the CVSS, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, right? Whenever they have to decide what to exploit next. But most of the platforms today, including the pen testers and the scoring systems, that's what they are based on, their prioritization on the CVSS. And this is a very narrow way to approach it. Mostly when you're facing hundreds or maybe thousands of new alerts every day. And last is the remediation process, which is so long and tedious these days. And full remediation usually takes from 90 to 200 days to close a known vulnerability. And I'm not talking about those that you are not aware of. It's way too long, and we can do much better. And there are tools today that can help all of us to do it much better. And we'll touch it. So when I talk with the security teams, I always hear that our goal is to reduce the risk by X%. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 12, 20, 23, you name it. But all of them are kind of challenged by deciding how can I be sure that I'm focusing on the right risks and assigning my team to the right tasks. What should I look for? What are the most effective way to prioritize? Where do we start? And again, real attackers, they never look on the CVSS before deciding what security gaps to exploit, right? So why you should, day by day, we do it. Vulnerability by vulnerability. We keep focus on narrow picture like the CVSS. And you probably want to know where to focus first, not just based on this score. You want to focus on the most impactful issues on your attack surface, those which are being actively exploited, but also you want to know what the asset does, who use it, what for, where it's located, on which platform it used. And they want to reduce the risks, but when we talk about EASM, for example, the main answer that we keep hearing is we don't have the capacity for more tasks, for more tools. All right, this is nice. But when we show them that what they knew is only 40 to 50% of their exposed web applications or APIs, they start to talk differently. Or when we show them that they only know about 60% of their subsidiaries worldwide. There are so many vulnerable APIs, web application, IPs, domains that we can find for them, and they are exposed to immediate exploitation. While most of them can be remediated in minutes. It's a very simple task, right? But they don't know what it's used for, or they don't know how sensitive it is to their organization, of course, or how attractive is it to the attackers. But the main point, it always falls under that this small fairly task of analyzing and exploring this and trying to learn what it takes or where it belongs to. For each vulnerability, it can take up to 60 minutes or even sometimes even more. And this is where many of the teams are giving up. This is where they will give up because it requires them to do a lot of work. But if you use ESM, you can avoid all of that. A good ESM solution will show you the organization. First of all, it will come with the discoverability level, which will increase your visibility about your organization. You will see many of your subsidiaries and organizations and the relationships between them. It will show you the exposed assets. And we are talking about web applications, APIs, domains, IPs, just name it, many of them. Then we are talking about attributing those assets to the organizations. Which organization is using what asset? In some cases, few organizations are using the same one. Then comes the security testing, the active security testing, which will show us the vulnerabilities that are out there. On top of that, a real ESM solution will come with the threat intelligence information that will give you more details, and we'll talk about it in a minute, more information about those vulnerabilities and what can be done or what is about to happen. And on top of that, we are talking about the accelerated remediation where we can support you with information that will help you, information and tools that will help you to faster remediate those issues, faster, easier. And we are going to focus today on these main areas. We are talking about the risk prioritization and the accelerated remediation. We will also see how a good ESM solution should help you to focus on the right and important things, and how they can help you to reduce the MTTR by automation and validations. So let's talk a bit about the prioritization. And yeah, how do you figure out what are your critical assets are? So yeah, as we discussed, many of the tools today, many of the platform and the services will use the CVSS generic score, right? But when we have so much to do and we are so limited, we need to prioritize, right? We have to pick what are the real cases that we want to take care of today. What my team is going to take care for today, because I believe this is the most important things to do. How do you figure out what are the critical assets? And the real severity cannot be used a generic system that ignores your business, your organization, and your goals. You can't just base it on a generic one that never look on this kind of aspect. We can't base our decisions only on this CVSS and on issues that were found 2 weeks ago, or in some cases 2 months ago, and even more. So a good ESM solution will show you information about the same vulnerabilities. It will tell you more, it will give you more information about the exploitability of these vulnerabilities, which one of those vulnerabilities is exposed to a real exploitation tool or exploitation plan by this or that gang. What is deployed on this asset? What is used for? Is it a sensitive database or important services for my organization? What sensitive data is exposed by files, by databases, maybe in a folder or something else? Yes, we also look on the severe issues based on CVSS and other tools. What is the attacker interest with this asset? How they are talking about it in their chats, how they are communicating about this kind of asset. So as you can see, and of course, what subsidiaries or what organization under my organization are using this asset. This is also bring me a lot of insight of how important this asset is for my organization. So all of those are very important elements that we have to put and to take into our calculations where we talk about vulnerabilities prioritization. And we call it contextualization because it doesn't bring you just the vulnerability score, but also what it means and what it reflects where it comes to this asset. So I hope that we now better understand that assets have to be prioritized by many data points, and priority should be based on several factors, not only the CVSS and stuff like that. And the first one is the visibility. You can't leave anything unknown, anything. Because if you prioritize 50 issues because you are not aware for another 25 or another 50, you will never know about much higher with priority issues that you have to take care of, right? So this is why this visibility is super crucial here to the success. But again, let's go back to the vulnerability. We'll touch the visibility later. But when we are talking about a specific vulnerability and how we prioritize several vulnerabilities that we are facing, so yes, we have the CVSS score, and we also have to take in mind the attractiveness for the attackers, how easy it would be for the attacker to find it, the path for least resistance, as we call it, or discoverability of that asset. Are there any known exploitation tools available out there by attacker gangs or organizations? Are they improving it? Because that means that they found it very attractive or very important or very useful. So they will try to improve it day by day, time by time. And who are those gangs? Who are those organizations that are trying and have high interest in such an API or web application? This is part of the threat intelligence. All of these are very important factors when it comes to prioritization. And this is the right approach for efficient prioritization of vulnerabilities. In the real life, we see that only 1 out of 10, and in some cases it's 1 out of 15 or 18, that is a really critical vulnerability. And instead of taking care for hundreds, and in some cases more, in some cases thousands, you really need to work on very few of them. And you can save a lot of time to your team and reduce the risk dramatically. So that's one of the key strengths of a real EASM solution. And this is a very nice way how it can help you to reduce the risk and reach your goals. And that how it can help you to focus on what is really important rather than chasing thousands or hundreds of not really urgent vulnerabilities. And all of that should be taken on a continuous way, every week or every 2 weeks, in some cases even every day, because you have to have a kind of a continuous way to watch those assets. The attack surface is being changed. Is being changed all the time, and you want to see and assure oftenly, and not once in several months, as many of us do today. You don't want to wait 3 months or 6 months until you get the next update. You want to see it every week, every 2 weeks, and for some of the assets, maybe every day. And by the way, our attack surface is keep changing all the time. What was active or alive yesterday, and definitely a month ago, was probably replaced by other or was fixed by that time. So we have to watch it like continuously every 2 weeks, every 1 week. And this is part of what ESM solution, a good ESM solution, do for you. The next is more about the discoverability and the visibility. And this is where you want to know who owns this asset. Because if I know that there's a vulnerability, I also want to know who can fix it, who can help it to remediate this issue as soon as possible. Again, in many cases, we hear teams telling us, yeah, I know about this vulnerability for a while, but I have no idea who is going to take care for it. I was trying one person or two teams in my organization, both tell me that this is not part of their responsibility, so I just gave it away. A good EASM solution will exploit your organization as the attacker will. They will use the same systems, the same tools, probably automatically, not manually. At least our solution can do it automatically, where we look into Google, financial reports of your organization, M&A news, S&P. We look on this kind of information just as any attacker will do when they are trying to map your organization and to find what are the most vulnerable or attractive points to exploit. And they will try to figure out what are the organization, the subsidiaries, the relationships among them, and what are the exposed assets or the exposed attractive assets for each one of them. And in addition to that, you need to know, and you need to have a continuous process or a program that will tell you who is using this asset, who is that organization, does it belong to, where it belongs to, is it a part of another organization, or is it part of the main organization, or as we call it, realm? And whom from your organization is in charge to fix or remediate this issue? So a good ESM solution will solve this problem as well, because we can map for you the organization as an attacker will, and then we can help you to assign the technical owners for each one of the organizations and assets. And we can do it manually, but also you can automate this process and not waiting for the next vulnerability. You can just do it on a day by day, and when the time comes and you have a critical vulnerability for this organization or asset, you know exactly who to talk to and who should be assigned to solve it. And this is a very important part as well. Now, back to the prioritization, and let's talk about enhanced prioritization. On the right side, you can see some information from IDC about the exploitation. Sorry, it's not the IDC, this is the Forrester one, about the exploitation intelligence. And the industry is talking all over about the exploit intelligence. What tools are available? What is the maturity of these tools? Because when attackers are finding something interesting and attractive, they will start, to pass script one among with others. And as I said earlier, they will try to keep optimize it day by day, and you'll see a lot of traffic around it. And every gang will come with a better solution or a better tool, better exploitation tool. And you want to know what the maturity level of these tools, what is the attacker's interest, and how much they talk and discuss about these tools, and share guidance about it. Each one of these is very helpful and critical for the prioritization. And maybe you want to try it yourself. Maybe you want your red team to try it. So it's very important to know these tools and also to be able to use them if they are available for you. On the left side, you can see some insight from IDC about threat intelligence, which talks about who is targeting organizations like yours. What are they looking for? What tools they are using, right? And what is their approach or strategy and for exploitation. So again, combining the exploitation intelligence and the threat intelligence, these are very important and key factors for your prioritizations. And this is a very enhanced feature, and it's super important when you use an ESM solution, you use this as well. So a good ESM solution should help you with prioritizing those vulnerabilities asset, but also recalculate the severity based on the maturity and you know the tools that are available. As you can see here, this is a way of exposing an exploitation tool with a customer. The severity should be recalculated, and those vulnerabilities with exploit tools should be higher with priority than anything else. In addition to that, we also exposing validation tools. I mean, as you can see at the bottom of this screenshot, you can also see the instruction how to operate it, how to use it, how to try it yourself, so you can learn better what are you going to face. And maybe your teams, as your red team, for example, are willing to try it, and you know this will help them to come with a better preventing tools and defending tools and stuff like that. And in addition to that, enriching some threat intelligence information, as you can see here, about the underground activity, and show what the attackers are treating this vulnerability, how they treat this vulnerability is also very important. And it's very clear to see here who you might be facing soon, what are they targeting, what kind of tools, what kind of assets, and what are they using it for. All of this information is super critical when we prioritize our vulnerabilities and when we set which are the most important to take care of. All right, let's move on. So sometimes, we can't see the forest for the trees. So I took this and put here, you want to focus on the right tree, right? In the forest, and you want to pay attention to the risks that are really matters. So it's not about those thousands or hundreds of vulnerabilities. As I said earlier, you need a program, you need a process that will show you the top 10 or 15 vulnerabilities to handle right now. You need kind of a tool that every day, whenever you consider what to take care for next, you have it in front of you. You have clear visibility on the top risk that you have to take care today, who is in charge for that, what the risk is, why this asset, why or how, probably how is the better word, how this asset belongs to your organization and who use it. So this is a kind of a very nice way to show it. Man, these are your risks. This is your top most vulnerable asset right now. Go do something about it before you take a look on anything else. Another part of that, I guess that many of us were facing this Log4j, and we all remember the Log4j, event. Let's call it event for today. We also know some stuff around Spring4 Shell, or we know a lot about Microsoft Exchange, zero-day vulnerabilities, and many, many advisories like that. And we all probably spent nights and weeks and weekends on looking for assets that might be involved with any of these advisories. And I'm asking, wouldn't it be easier if someone just put some light on those assets and tell us, hey, when you read this advisory or that article and you want to know out of these CVEs, what asset in your organization are exposed right now, this could help us a lot, right? So again, good ESM solution will come with it. It will show you exactly in a minute or in a few clicks when the sky are falling. We can show you immediately what advisories are involved in your attack surface and what assets are currently exposed to any of the CVEs that are listed on those advisories. But also on a blue sky day, don't let anyone disturb you. Be ready, stay ahead of the game. And whenever your management or your security people are reaching out and telling you, hey, I just heard about a new advisory or a new crisis with this tool or that platform, you can just come to your ESM solution and see immediately what assets in your environment are exposed to this kind of CVs very easily, very fastly. And this is also a very important piece of a good ESM solution. And last but not least, let's talk about the remediation. So we talked earlier about the ownership and who owns this asset. So we said that a good ESM solution can reach out to your CMDB or any other database or file, I don't know, and get the owners for those organizations, the technical owners for the assets or the organizations in your realm. Once and again, you don't have to wait for the D-Day for that. You can do it on a continuous way. So once a critical vulnerability is found, you already know who has to take care for it. So when it comes and you have a new severe vulnerability, you can immediately assign it to someone by your SIEM system, by source system, by your ticketing system. And this will probably trigger the remediation process with your IT or ops team, as it will be assigned immediately to the relevant team or person in charge, the owner of this asset, the one who is in charge, and they will take care for it. But another important part here is when it's done and the team was reporting you that the vulnerability was remediated, you want to make sure that it was really remediated. And I want to share with you that in many cases, if we look, if we look on the MTTR, a good ESM solution can help you with those things, with the prioritization, knows who's the owner. But when it gets to the revalidation, we know that in 2022, more than 50% of the remediated issues, the remediated vulnerabilities, were revalidated. 55% of the revalidated, remediated vulnerabilities turned to be not fixed, not remediated. They were still open. Why? Many various possibilities and causes. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that you must revalidate the remediated vulnerabilities instantly. So in a matter of few hours, you will know that for sure this vulnerability was fixed. Otherwise, it may remain open for weeks or months before you get to know that it's still open, and you just waited another month with an open severe issue or open severe vulnerability. You don't have to wait those weeks and months. You just need to make sure that you put the revalidation process into your automated process. And what I'm showing here, this is a automatic solution, almost zero human involvement. Everything can be done very easily by a good ESM solution, but the remediation itself that is being done by the IT team, but assigning the ticket to the relevant owner and triggering a revalidation right after the remediation, all of these things can be done automatically. So what will make the difference? Discover and understand your assets and your organization. The visibility, it's a critical factor. And of course, to set the owner for each of those organizations and assets. Prioritize your vulnerability and risk by multiple data points and multiple factors. The CVSS is one of them, but definitely not the only one. The attacker attractiveness is a very important one. The discoverability, the path for the least resistant, of course. The exploit and the exploitation tools, threat intelligence, and the continuity. All of them are key factors for the prioritization. Get faster to your top risk. Always be focused on the things that are really matter. Probably there are tens or hundreds of vulnerabilities that you have to take care for, but you want to focus on the top one, on those that are really matter, and there are not many. And when you remediate something, you want to revalidate, you want to automate the remediation process, and you want to revalidate and make sure that it was properly remediated and the remediation was successfully completed. All right.
Great.
Yeah, that's for today.
Thank
Any
you, Meir.
questions, guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for this excellent presentation and for giving the audience such a fantastic context on how important it is to do proper contextualization of assets and prioritization to really focus their attention and energy on which vulnerabilities are most critical in their environment. So with that said, it looks like there are some questions from the audience. So I'll read those to you now. The first question is, I currently use CVSS scores to assess vulnerabilities. How can I move beyond this to determine which assets are most attractive to attackers?
Yeah, so again, if you are looking for a good ESM solution that will take into account all of those factors that we just listed and mentioned and explained, and by the way, there are many vendors out there calling themselves external attack surface or exposed attack surface management tools. But you have to make sure that they are not looking on the CVSS and you end up with the same situation as you right now, because you have to look on the wider picture. You have to see all of those factors and make sure that the tool that you select will cover all of that. Of course, that we do it with CyCognito, but yeah, it's super important to make sure that whenever you pick or looking or testing any kind of tool, you see that they are using those factors, the attractiveness, the discoverability, the exploitation tools, threat intelligence, and they do it on a continuous way, every week, every day, every month, based on your needs.
Excellent. Thank you. The next question from the audience is, what tools do attackers use to discover which assets in my portfolio are most exploitable?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, usually they will use those tools that are available for everyone, from Google, financial reports, M&A news, anything that is out there. They will try to figure out and build a puzzle of your organization and assets, and this is what they do. Sometimes they will cooperate and do it together. Some of them will use scripts and Shodan and some other tools. And a good ESM solution is also using the same techniques, the same approach, but they do it much faster, much earlier than the attackers, and will help you to get ready before they get you.
Awesome. Thank you. The next question is, how can I create an operational workflow to share our most exploitable assets with the proper business owners and get these vulnerabilities remediated quickly?
Yeah, so this is a very good one because, um, again, we detect issues. We detect those vulnerabilities on those discovered assets, but someone has to take care for it, right? And I assume that for many of you guys, you already have a built-in or already operating system, sorry, active system that already take care for, ticketing or a SIM system, and though the good ESM solution will integrate with your existing processes. You don't have to build something, from scratch. If you're using ServiceNow or Jira or any of those tools or any of the SOAR solutions, your ESM solution should integrate to those very easily, and in a matter of several hours, you will start, share with those tools your top risks and the vulnerabilities that you really have to take care of. And in addition to that, and I didn't mention it earlier, but you should always be able to filter and to customize the system to send the items that you really want to go through. Because if you end with thousands or hundreds of alerts going to your other systems, that's probably not what you want. So a good ESM solution should also support you with customization and filtering those alerts that you want to go through those integrations.
That's great. Okay, let's see here. The next question is how can I optimize my vulnerability management workflow to make sure the most critical risks get remediated faster? It's great to use automation, but do I need to involve my IT team, my red team, etc.?
So in our case, we use already set ready to use set of integrations. So in many cases, we manage to connect those systems, whether it's your CMDB or your SIM solution or anything like that. We do it with the security guys. Yeah, in some cases we need some help from customers. Sorry, from the IT teams. In other cases, like Cloud Connector, for example, where our solution can also search for or discover more assets in your cloud environment. This is where we do need some more help from the IT guys, but it's it's a very easy and very simple task and setup to do, and yeah, usually it doesn't take much of their effort, but generally speaking, most of the work is done by our teams and the security team that we work with.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, that concludes the questions that we have for today's webinar. And, once again, Meir, I just want to thank you for this excellent presentation, very insightful way of looking at how vulnerability management is changing.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Yeah. Thank you.
My honor.
Well, yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on our on our corporate webinar series here. And thank you to everybody for attending today and for your thoughtful questions. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye, everybody.